Hey leaders, it's really good to be with you. We usually make this video for service leaders, but we're opening it up to you. So leaders, it's good to be with you. This coming weekend is going to be a continuation on talking about passivity, but from a little bit of a different angle. And we're going to do Bible Jersey Shore like we normally do, so it should be fun. And then we're going to do a story that is Moses and the emergency circumcision. What's more fun than that? It's in Exodus 4 if you want to read it in advance. And in the story, Moses is headed back to Egypt. It's the beginning of him heading back to rescue the Hebrew people who were in slavery to the Egyptians. And as they're just starting to head back, I mean, he's just met with God at the burning bush, and as he's starting to head back, the Lord burns with anger towards him, and the reason why is he's never circumcised his son, which means he hasn't kept the main covenant. And the comparison is that the Lord wants him to rescue his firstborn, which is the nation of Israel, and yet Moses hasn't been faithful in the small things with his own firstborn. Because Moses hasn't done what he was supposed to do, and the Lord is like burning with anger towards Moses, Zipporah, which is his wife, falls down quickly and quickly with a flint rock cuts the skin off of Moses' son. This does an emergency circumcision and throws the blood quickly of the skin that he's cut off, throws it at Moses' feet. And literally, like, it is a quick way to like take care of what the Lord is angry about. There's this strange thing that happens, though, that's a lot like the last couple of weeks, last week, and this is sort of something we want to make sure you bring in, that last week there was Jezebel, who's this very aggressive woman who sort of controls when she shouldn't. But instead, Zipporah seems to be very like submissive to her husband, but because her husband didn't do what he was supposed to do, the weight fell on her shoulders. And so I think especially at 11:45, and I'm sure at every service, there was a theme of men who just didn't know what this looked like because they didn't have good dads in their life or dads at all. And so the weight has fallen on their moms. And so we don't want them to see their moms as Jezebels, but more as Zipporahs, these women who have filled in the gap because there's no other choice. And so it just gives a good picture of when men don't play the role, or when any of us don't play the role that we're supposed to play, that the weight really does fall on someone else's shoulders. And so that's a great way to look at it this weekend. The questions, though, include things like, what in your life do you need to trim, just like Moses needed to? And anyways, has God spoken to you recently, and have you done? And so there's all these questions that are really good that we originally wrote. But I just want to make sure that if you feel like you need to tidy up business from last week from Jezebel and Ahab on passivity, that you can still talk about it this week and to talk about how it fell on Zipporah's shoulders when Moses didn't do what he was supposed to do. So feel free to use the questions that we have available, or feel free to take it in any direction you feel like your pod needs to go based on last week. That is it for this coming weekend, but Justin Buckner has been begging us to get further out in these, and so starting this week, we're going to give you more. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about next week, too, so hang around. And now it's time to talk about genital warts. Why wouldn't you want to talk about that? Hey, the story for the weekend of July 23rd, 24th is a really fascinating story where the Philistines have stolen the Ark of the Covenant from the Israelites. We'll start that weekend with our typical Bible Jersey Shore game, and then we'll go straight into this story. And the teacher this week will do a great job of just telling the story. The story itself is fascinating, and it really doesn't need a lot of teaching points. It's really obvious that God is God in this story. In the story, the Philistines have stolen the Ark of the Covenant from the Israelites, and they just put it in a temple with all these other gods that they have. And their main god is Dagon, and he's actually a fertility god. And when they go back to check on their temple the next day after they put the Ark of the Covenant in there, Dagon has fallen flat on his face. Their god that stands erect, falls straight over and is at the feet of the Ark of the Covenant. And so they stand it back up again, and the next day they come back in, and Dagon has fallen again, but this time it's lost its arms and legs. Dagon is literally like prostrate at the feet of the Ark of the Covenant. And so it's really clear that God is God in this. Well, they ship the Ark of the Covenant back. They decide they need to give it back. They don't want anything to do with it because it's causing harm to their other gods. But they realize that they should probably make some sort of an offering or a gift when they give it back, because they really want to make sure. Because the other thing that happens is all of the Philistine people break out in tumors. And we'll have a clip of Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, "It's not a tumor," from Kindergarten Cop, because the bottom note says probably these tumors were tumors of the groin, which are genital warts. So doesn't surprise me that Dagon, being a fertility god, that they all break out while the Ark of the Covenant is there with genital warts. So there's a genital wart breakout in the Philistines. So when they decide to send back the Ark of the Covenant to the Israelites, it says they also got rats at that time too. So genital warts and rats, it's a beautiful thing. So they make golden idols or golden gifts that look like genital warts and rats. And when they return the Ark of the Covenant, they make a gift of golden genital warts and golden rats to return. So that's the really funny part of the story. But the more interesting part of the story is how we see that God is God in this story. So we're going to talk about, the question should circle around, what are the idols in your life? Is there a person that you idolize? Just basically talking about idols in the kid's life and how those can't be in their heart, can't be a temple where God is there, but they have other idols as well. That's it. That'll be it for that week. Have fun with genital warts. That's all I got to say. Bye.